We'll start with questions from Mike Griffith and then Chip Towers.
Well, hey, Sedrick, good to see you out here. I guess I just ask you about the adjustments to working with the ones and how you think you're doing so far.
Well, I don't think it's been much of an adjustment. I think that Coach Smart does a great job of getting a lot of guys reps, especially guys who are expected to potentially help. He does a great job just rotating guys in and getting them good reps. So I think overall it hasn't been much of an adjustment. It's really just really focusing on the things that Coach Luke has taught me. So I think it's been well so far, and I'm just coming along trying to get better.
Yes, Cedric, obviously a center of your magnitude's not overwhelmed by working with the number one offense, but the transition to major college football into Georgia and their system, what has been the most challenging thing about being ready to play on this level? And then obvious with opening with Clemson in that defensive front, that's kind of a non-nonsense opener. So what's been the most difficult thing for you to kind of master at this point?
That's a good question. I'll say that I think the most difficult thing for me has been honestly just taking coaching every day, taking the technique, just really getting in the film room and getting better, man. It's really a tough thing. Coming from high school, you think you're a really good player. And you realize to be good on this level, you got to fix up some technique. Not saying that you don't have the God-given ability, but honestly, it was an adjustment when I first got here to just fix up some technique things and really just start playing ball on a fast level. So I really want to credit Coach Luke for that, and I just want to send him a thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to Mark Weiser and then Connor Riley.
Hey, Sedrick, you mentioned guys rotating in at center. Who are some of those guys? And is Warren able to do the opposite hand thing? I know he was going to try that.
Okay, I'll say this. Warren has been doing an amazing job. One thing that I love about the dynamic with me and Warren and I, is that we always try to help each other out. It's supposed to be a competition, but at the end of the day, we all want to win. So Warren, helping him get his snaps correctly with his opposite hand, and also him helping me, getting my snaps correctly, trying to move, step, things like that. So I think Warren has been doing an amazing job, and I'm really, really proud of the progress that he's making. But also other guys have been taking some snaps at center, Jamari, me, Warren, things like that.
Thank you.
Hey, Cedric. The Clemson defensive line, they've recruited very well there. They have a lot of talent there. But you could probably say the same for Georgia's. How does blocking a guy like Jordan Davis or Jalen Carter in practice every day, you think, help prepare you for a game of that magnitude?
It helps tremendously, man. It helps tremendously. Those guys are warriors for sure. Going against Jalen, JD, Devontae Wyatt, sometimes going against Trayvon Walker, Tremel Walthour, those guys. It really, really helps you because honestly, it makes you hone in on your technique, man. You really, really have to play sound technique football, because if you mess one thing up, it'll be the end of it for you. So honestly, it helps a lot because I would say that those guys have helped me tremendously upgrade my game.
Okay, we'll go to Anthony Dasher and then Palmer Tomes.
Hey, Cedric, good to see you. Kind of give me an idea of during the summer, like what you and Warren and whoever else at center will work with JT and the other quarterbacks to work on your snaps and get that timing down. Kind of what all goes in with that during summertime.
Okay, so honestly, it's a long and strenuous process. Started in the spring, before and after practice, getting snaps. Credit to Coach Monken. And also, a lot of days coming in on the weekend, Saturdays, Sundays, sometimes even coming in and just getting some snaps when those guys are doing 7-on-7 and things like that. And then we just honestly progressed through the summer. As things started to die down a little bit, we started not to go, with JT, and it started just to be just Warren and I, whether we're snapping to each other. We started using, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the little, I guess you would call it pocket things that the quarterbacks throw into. We started snapping into those basically. And I think that really helped us a lot because it gives you instant feedback, whether someone's there or not. So it was a long, strenuous process, but it was worth it.
Sedrick, with the second scrimmage coming up this weekend, where do you think the biggest area where the offensive line needs to take a jump from scrimmage 1 to scrimmage 2 would be?
That is a good question. In my personal opinion, I just want to say I love my guys, man. I think those guys fight really hard. I think we all come out every day and we fight. It's a battle every day with the defensive line. Those are some talented guys and they get us better. So honestly, going into the second scrimmage, I think the best thing for us would just be to continue doing what we're doing, being consistent, being aggressive like we always have and will be, and just going forward, man. I think Coach Luke has been doing a tremendous job coaching us, and I think as we go further along, things will really, really click.
Okay, we'll go to Jake Bruce and then Jake Rowe.
Sedrick, obviously Jamari getting some work there at the center position. What have you been able to pick up from him, there and that experience that he's had across the Georgia offensive line at multiple positions, not just at center, guard, and tackle as well? I mean, how does a guy like that benefit your game?
So Jamari benefits me in the way of, honestly, he helps me out in the twist game. Sometimes he even helps me, notice certain blitzes and things that are coming that I may not see, that he can see from a tackle perspective. So honestly, Jamari has been a tremendous help. I think when he gets those center reps, just being able to watch him and see how he's, snapping his head and things like that to pick up different twists and things of those sorts, it's definitely a big help because as a student of the game, you definitely are watching the guys get reps in front of you.
Sedrick, have you gotten to the point where the whole position, playing the position at this level, has become second nature to you, the snap and the blocking and that, and also kind of, if you had to pick one thing for the next week, 2 weeks to really hone in on so that you can have a chance to start and have a chance to be a big part of this offense, what would that be?
Well, I'll say I think things have started to become second nature for me. Honestly, I think in the spring, though, that's really when things started to click for me. But you can never be too confident. You can never take that for granted. You always have to be on your P's and Q's when it comes to that because you never want any mishaps. So I'll say that it has started to become second nature for me. However, I don't take it for granted. That's something that we work on consistently, even though we're out of summer and spring. Can you repeat the second part of the question for me, please?
Yeah, if there was one thing that you kind of had to, zero in on right now that that you got to improve upon in the next week, 2 weeks, so that you can be a big part of this offensive line, what would that thing be?
I would say playing above the neck. That would be my biggest thing because I think I do a good job of it, but you can never be too sure, being a younger player. You can always improve playing, above the neck, just seeing different things, seeing safety rotations, seeing caps, different things like that. That always can be a help. So I think that would be the biggest thing I'm going to hone in on just going into the game.
Okay, we have time for 2 more questions for Sedrick.
Yeah, Sedrick, you talk about, in this transition, having to get better, polish things up. Where do you think your game has grown the most and either on or off the field?
Okay. That's a really good question. Thank you for that. I think the biggest places my game has grown has to be 2 things. I think personally in pass protection. I think coming out of high school, I was a big run blocker. That was always my favorite thing to do, run the ball. So just getting better in pass protection and moving your feet and punching and different things like that because at center, it's not the same as tackle, but you definitely still have to do it. So I think doing that was a big help for me. That's why I improved the most on the field. And I think as far as off the field, I think where I improved the most would have to be really just, I would say, asking more questions when it comes to asking film in the film room. Because oftentimes, coming out of high school, you process a lot of things, I don't want to say like a smart guy or anything like that, but when your brain, works the way that it does for me, I'll say that you start to, I guess, get overconfident and think that you analyze things a little bit more. So when you come out of your comfort zone and you just really start to open up and ask questions, it takes you to a whole nother level when you realize that some of the things that you thought you knew, you really didn't. So I would say that that's where I improved the most, just asking questions and being optimistic.
Sedrick, you're obviously a really talented lineman. What made you want to be a center? You could play any offensive line position. Why did center appeal to you? What's the story behind that?
Okay, so I started off as a defensive lineman in high school. I started off as a defensive lineman my freshman year. Then we have a scrimmage. Really, it was I think the game before our first game, some type of scrimmage like that. Day before the scrimmage, offensive line coach comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, I need you to snap a ball." What do you mean snap a ball? I've never snapped the ball in my life. What are you talking about? So he's like, "Listen, you're gonna snap this ball." So, you go in, you snap the ball. First start off, you're terrible. Rolling the ball, all types of mishaps. And then, once you get to the game, you start to get those reps in and you start to really feel it and understand what the position is about. And you're like, hey, maybe I can do this. So I give all the credit to my high school coach, Coach Luke in New Orleans. He definitely put me in that position. So I appreciate him for that.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.